where do our characters even come from? Are they some unconscious urge that we need to express? Or the opposite? Are they totally conscious? I know exactly who I want to write. Or is it even the muse, divine inspiration? So I think about this every time I create a character. And I think it may be all three, some uncanny process. It's a bit of everything. In my first book, when I wrote The Women in the Story, I really asked my reader, who are writers, the book's aimed at writers, what have you never seen a woman do or be before, on screen or in a novel? So I kind of had to walk my talk when I wrote my first novel. Thought, who haven't I seen? What haven't I, experienced in a female character that I'd like to see? So it's a bit like honoring Toni Morrison, who said, write the book that you really want to read. So I guess that's what I did. So I hadn't seen a woman detective in the 1940s, definitely not in 1940s noir. Somebody relatable, somebody ahead of her time maybe, with kind of a lot of female friends. I'd never seen that. It was like, my God, all these 40s films, there's not one female detective who's in the lead. So that's really the story I wanted to write. She was the missing person of crime noir. And in that sense, I had to think, why was she missing? But then as I got to know her and as I began to do my character research, I realized she's missing for a reason. And does she even have a right to exist? So who is Elvira Slate? Where do I find her? How do I create her? It was really important to me that she was a Brit abroad. I liked the fact that she was going to escape and somehow find herself reinvented in 1940s Los Angeles.
Well, think again. A shadow, a whisper, a fair weather friend. You see my lives are gone.
I think that was a kind of, again, a conscious decision. But I had to kind of think about what am I really trying to say with this character? What am I trying to do that's different? What can I bring to the genre? And I think I found those answers really in her backstory. Our characters have a past before they spring to life on the page. I wanted to have complex, trauma really from a childhood with a lot of loss in it, because that would give her a lot of stakes. Traumatized characters are actually quite fun to write because they've got further to travel. And I wanted to give her a lot of obstacles because I thought, why should she have it easy? She's just not going to land on her feet. I want her to have an arc, a journey. And her story really begins, in the middle of the Atlantic. She's born in the middle of the sea. So is she British? Is she American? And her mother, Violet, is really looking for a lost love. She was a sort of World War I GI bride, wannabe GI bride, because the American who promised her marriage, he just disappeared. So she goes to America, gives birth on the boat, trying to find this man who promised to marry her. And of course, he doesn't exist. So 6 years later, she goes back on the boat, and it's on the boat back that Violet disappears. And some nuns take the young Elvira into their care and say, your mother's dead. So she never really knows if her mother died. It's a kind of mystery. So in the same way that Elvira is a missing person, missing women are part of her DNA. And I like the fact that, this question, like, who am I? Where do I belong? What's my identity? Am I American? Am I British? This is all part of her past. And this is going to inform her journey. It's going to be the reason behind some of her decisions.
The first thing is just in chapter 36, because Elvira says that she doesn't believe her mother died on the boat, but that Violet dumped her.
Yeah.
And people told her that her mum, Violet, had died, was just to spare her feelings. And the fact that she didn't get to say goodbye to her mum was proof of that. But I just wondered if that was what you actually meant, because there's a bit of a contradiction with later on.
Yes, well, no, she absolutely doesn't know if she died or not. So
Right,
that's something that she carries with her, because she never saw the funeral, she never saw her dead body.
She just had to take things word.
She had to take, the evil nuns.
Looking.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
The vast majority of people deserve a second chance. So Elvira has to give herself her own second chance, and that's really important. But how is she going to do it? She's going to do that by trusting herself, making better decisions, learning to connect with the right people, and become a professional woman. So this is something that, is a huge challenge for someone with her origin. She doesn't know really who she is. She doesn't trust herself, but she wants to be something different. She wants to give herself a second chance, but does she really deserve it? That's always lurking at the heart of Elvira Slate. In each novel, she is literally investigating one crime throughout the book. But there are also stories of her own development, her own recovery as a young woman. So, for example, in Jailbird Detective, this is all about her escaping. And it's very much a story of kind of the aftermath of shock and trauma. She was quite numb during the war, locked up in Holloway. It's almost like putting your traumas into pause, pressing the pause button of your life. But when she comes out, everything hits her and she has to go on the run. So that's really like a kind of, the wave is crashing and she's, on the beach in pieces, fragmented. But by the end of the book, she is a female detective. Somehow she's pulled it off. She's got a few people to believe her and give her a chance. She's got a great mentor, the character of Beatty, an older woman. And she's like, wow, I've lucked out. I can do this. By book 2, she is in business. She's got her secretary, Barney. She's got her mentor, and she has her first professional case. But she's carrying this huge wounds, all these unresolved issues. So she's got imposter syndrome. Can she do it? This is her first case. She really has to prove herself, not only to herself, but to other people. So she makes some mistakes. She has a bit of a toxic romance. She's got an ability to over-identify with the underdog, which sometimes is a good thing, sometimes is a bad thing. So she's very much, a woman of ambiguous motives that sometimes she doesn't even know them herself. It's interesting because I think I kind of used him as a stereotype of noir. It was like a hangover genre.
Yeah.
And then the intention is to try and break him down.
Yes. I mean, I think inroads are made towards that.
Yeah.
I think she loves to take more power, but I'm not sure if she actually succeeds. Exactly. Yeah.
She never has much.
Where he's concerned, no.
Yeah.
The bit of her that hates herself is the bit that's really, really strongly attracted to him.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. He is her unresolved, unhealthy. You are attracted to
unhealthy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is.
There's kind of a straight line between Billy.
Yeah.
To Randall, isn't there?
Yeah, these sort of absent father men.
Yes, absolutely. Cold, absent
and that's
father.
And that is a reflection of how badly she feels about herself.
Yeah,
it's a low self-esteem thing.
Yeah, and a vulnerability thing.
Yeah. And in this book, it's it's a collection of cases actually, and they have the similar theme that she mainly has female clients. We have lots of recurring characters, and all these people she's meeting are relating to Elvira Slate, but she's a woman with many ghosts from the past in her identity. She is the orphan, she's the foster child, she's the juvenile offender, she's the gangster's mole, she's the sophisticated woman, she's the detective, and she's got many different facets that she has to constantly negotiate, which I think we all do in life. We all have all these different roles that we play, and we have all these different if you like, past selves. So I believe that she reflects a kind of more contemporary understanding of ourselves, because we all have to constantly negotiate different identities, whatever situation we're in. Recovery is not a linear process. It's circular. We can go backwards, we can go forwards. And that's very much true for Elvira Slate. I do like noir. It's glamorous. It's 40s.
Yeah.
And I like the world. I like the visuals. But when I'm watching them, I mean, now, audiences, they love them. They're, we laugh at them. They're like iconic and they're kind of classic. But actually, they're just products of a really revolting, toxic Hollywood system.
Really impressive.
So the flipping and the subverting and the collaging and the it's fun, but it's it's
I mean it's
like rosy tinted,
but it's different.
I think Elvira shows that it's through resilience of spirit, it's through taking risks, but it's also through the power of friendship and the power of support and solidarity. Yes, trusting yourself is really important, working on your self-esteem is important, but you can only do that if you really have someone who, validates you and recognizes you. And for Elvira, that will be some friends that she instinctively trusts and relates to, who have her back, people who like her, because we do go through life. Some people we don't gel with, some people we do. And for Elvira, it's going to be those people who just sort of recognize something intrinsically good in her that makes her feel, well, maybe, I am somebody. So she's not arrogant. And she's got unlikable traits. Sometimes I ask myself, oh my gosh, do I even like you? People don't like weakness. But she is strong and she does take risks. So she's contradictory. And in that way, she surprises me, because we have these conscious decisions of who our characters are, but then we start writing and something else happens on the page.